That's the thing, though. I mean, to be fair, this audience does get
humor,
the maximum amount of appreciation and love I can give any human being.
That is true.
They get a lot. Like, I don't. God, you should see. I'm not easy to deal with.
No, he's not.
So yeah, cucksforbernie.org. Let's get this going. Is that? Can somebody get that?
Cucks for Bernie? Well, I'm sure you get either a Cucks FOR Bernie or Cucks the number 4 Bernie. One of those is available. And if so, can you please buy that and then we'll forward it to our website.
Yeah, somebody please buy that and forward it to us, and I'll give you money.
We'll pay you back, okay?
You'll be reimbursed for your expenses.
You will. Correct. Hey, but by the way,
Get both though.
Yeah, both. And by the way, you'll be reimbursed for fast food meals only. No going on fancy steakhouses and sending us the bill, all right? You hear me?
And then also somebody get us a lawyer so we can find out a legal way to make a website where we can jokingly take money from people.
That would be great.
And say that my wife's boyfriend is matching it.
Perfect. How do we do that?
Going to jail. Because I don't know, that whole Mueller
going to jail thing?
That whole Mueller investigation thing, he just likes to get everybody.
Yeah, he does. All right, so there's some updates on the Jussie Smollet. Now, this is on...
Fill me in now. Who's this Jussie Smollet guy? He's from Empire, right?
Yeah, it's fucking great.
I've
By the way, triple threat. He could sing, he could dance, and he could act.
Where he's going to do it anymore.
No, this is the Today Show. Now, remember they were the first... This hate crime, they were one of the people going after it really hard. Watch this.
Let's bring in NBC legal analyst Ari Melber. Ari, this thing started off everyone calling it a hate crime, and now police are wondering if Jussie Smollett kind of orchestrated this whole thing.
We said
kind of?
Kind of orchestrated. You see what they do?
Yeah. Sort of.
Now, if this was still a hate crime thing, right now they'd be going, so explain to us exactly how Donald Trump beat up Jussie Smollett. Like,
and go.
With not kind of, or now it's just, well, he kind of may have a little bit.
Tucker brought up, Tucker did bring something up that I thought was really interesting. Did
he do it with one eyebrow up the whole time?
Yeah, of course.
Why was he even there? Yeah. And why were 2 Nigerians even here in America? Why are blacks even a thing at all?
I use the N-word in my private life.
Tucker, stop drinking.
I love Tucker, actually. He mentioned that Smollett interview that we played a little bit of yesterday, the interviewer never questioned him. She never asked him any follow-up questions. She just nodded her head like, that must have been terrible.
Okay. So it sounds terrible.
I can't imagine.
So we shouldn't vote for Trump, right?
Trump's terrible. So can you give me that soundbite? I need it for when I do the... Say Trump caused this?
You're a handsome man, by the way.
Yeah. Do me a favor. Say Trump's America. No, say it again with more excitement.
No, you know what? Sing it.
Sing it. Trump's America. All right. Sorry, Hoda.
People rushed to judgment in the beginning. We're not sure what is happening right now, but police are gathering evidence, right? So what are they trying to find?
They're ultimately looking at whether the original allegation, which they were investigating, is now itself potentially the infraction. In other words, was there a crime and a victim of that crime, or was the person who said they were a victim actually doing something that itself may be illegal, which is faking a crime?
So he hasn't spoken again to investigators since these developments. Can these investigators compel Smollett?
That's a good sign, by the way.
Yeah, no, he hasn't spoken to them.
Do you understand that if I got jumped by 2, let's say, black gentlemen, and it really did happen, and they said, fuck you, cracker, and they beat the shit out of me and left me there on my way home from a sandwich shop, and somehow the narrative turned into I made it up, but I really was beaten up by 2 black guys, do you understand I would very quickly meet with those police and tell them to go fuck themselves? Like, you don't... I might go with a lawyer, but you would still go and go, no, you're fucking full of shit. This fucking happened to me. You don't just dip out of Chicago.
And now Davey Crocco in the chat, super chat, and I have a ton of info of this on my stream on my channel. I actually happened to come across this stream because it actually got a lot of views yesterday. So there is a good video, if you guys want it after our show, obviously. Check out Davey Crocco. He has a video about the Smollett thing that's pretty interesting. Anyway, back to you, Hoda.
To talk to them?
They certainly can, and I spoke with Chicago police officials yesterday in preparation for this segment. They are still trying to put on...
Jim N-word. Guys, Chicago's MAGA country.
No, it really is.
88% voted for Hillary in Chicago.
88%.
88%.
Out of 14 districts.
14. We don't know if that's how many districts.
I don't know if that's a real.
But if it is,
somebody
dude,
look
how
that
cool
up?
would that be?
Could somebody look up if
Jamie.
there's 14 congressional districts in Illinois? That would be hilarious.
Jamie, pull up 1488 for me. Jamie, pull it up.
Shit.
Wow, that's crazy. So they think Hitler's alive in Argentina.
On the pressure privately and publicly to say, if you really are the victim, of course you should be willing to come back and update your testimony as we get more information.
We talk about charges. So if, in fact, he did fake this, what kind of charges could he face?
The kind of charge you're looking at here is basically obstruction or lying to authorities in Illinois. That would typically be a misdemeanor, but there's nothing typical about
As
this.
a man named Ari with thick eyebrows and a giant nose, I'm an expert in these matters.
But here's the thing that he's not mentioning, which I read about today, and this is 100% legit. His problem isn't with filing a false police report, because that's nothing. That's a slap on the wrist. You don't get jail time. The issue is
Fake hate crime.
the letter that he sent himself cut out of magazines a week before this attack. That's a federal crime. That's a federal crime because the FBI was the one that was involved in that. Because
you
when
guys
it's
better charge this asshole too.
when it's through U.S. mail, and it's something like this, it usually is the FBI that gets involved because it's interstate crossing state lines and stuff. So that letter is going to fuck him worse. And by the way, they've already said that a leaked source, I want to be clear, a leaked source from Chicago, which means a police officer in Chicago who hates this guy, a leaked source from Chicago said it's looking very likely like he sent the letter to himself.
Oh, he absolutely sent it to himself. We already knew this 2 weeks ago. But we couldn't say nothing to the press because this place is a liberal cesspool.
When they went into this,
I voted for Trump. I voted for him. I don't even know why I showed up. 88% voted for that cunt. Can you believe that shit? But we're not going to let this you-know-what get away with it. I'll tell you that much. Not here in Chicago.
By the way, the other 88% voted for Hillary. The other 22% was the Chicago police force voting for Trump.
Listen, I may not be able to turn the tides back against all of these blacks ruining my city, but I'll stop this one guy. So help me God.
They
Why
ran Jay Cutler out of this town, and that's wrong.
Did you know half the police force in this state now, they're putting their hands on Korans when they put their when they get their badges. This is what I'm dealing with out here. And our pizza's terrible. Of course I'd rather have New York pizza.
But we have a thing called pride here where we lie about it. All right. Smollett? Oh, something. Sorry, I meant to say something else. Something else leaked. They said that when they investigated those two Nigerian brothers, the ones that one of them that worked at Empire, they had magazines that had been cut out in similar fashion to how they sent cut
Yeah,
out
so
letters.
explain that one to me, Blackie. Why you got cut out magazines here in your house? We already searched your apartment and we found all these cut out magazines. So explain that to me. Huh? You're cooking recipes, are you? You were saving a recipe for how to cook up some more racial divide in this country, were you? Is that what you were whipping up in the kitchen? I don't know why my fucking Chicago cop is. Everybody's saying there's a lot of Minnesotans in Chicago. Look, I'm sorry. I do my best here, all right?
I'm cooperating here. It went into Fargo. These guys, these guys.
Of course it was two Nigerians. Of course it fucking was. You couldn't even find two black guys? Or
Grateful
two white
Dead.
guys? You couldn't find two white guys to beat you up?
Grateful Head in the chat who's from Chicago goes, we don't talk like that.
All right, well, I don't know. It is very Midwestern.
It is. It was a very
Well,
yeah.
I don't know. You know what it is, too? It's like there is a terrible sort of like, if you notice in the movies, whenever they do like movies like set in Chicago, and they always get these actors that like are from like Pittsburgh and like Maryland to play people from Chicago. So I think that's why I do it, because I think I've been to Chicago once for like one day. Never really been to Chicago. I've just
Right.
seen movies about Chicago, and the cops are always like, "Yeah, we got to go down there and crack some fucking heads, and get these blacks out of here." Sorry.
case. So while in a lot of situations you could have a false call, people have heard of false bomb threats that are called in and there's no real actual crime.
Yeah.
Those aren't usually charged. I think there's a tremendous national interest now in how you resolve this.
Well, also in the piece we showed that there was supposedly a threatening letter that came to Jussie Smollet through the mail. And there's some question now as to whether or not that was true. If that winds up being a hoax, what kind of charges could he face?
I think the more that authorities can put together evidence that there was a long-term, sophisticated, premeditated attempt to fake something, and that's what they're investigating. They haven't announced that yet. The worse it looks for whoever's involved in that fakery, because it's not a one-off. It's not one false statement which anyone might make accident.
He's fucked. They are going to, and they rightfully so. They are going to make a fucking example of him.
Oh no, it's it. Yeah,
you need, and if they don't, let me tell you something. If they don't make an example out of him, there's going to be a big problem. But I would think that most of the police officers, you understand, somebody, there is a shooting there's a shooting every hour in Chicago and a homicide every 3.
It's an extremely
There's
dangerous city.
a shooting in Chicago every hour and a homicide every 3 hours.
But guns are illegal in Chicago.
And you
Explain that to me. No, there's no way your dad has got to be skewed. How do you get guns into Chicago? Could somebody email me and explain why because he's making up numbers or, and I hate to say this.
Okay.
But maybe extreme gun control doesn't work. Wait, are these illegal guns they're using?
Yeah, Mike, believe it or not, they file off the serial numbers.
Illegal firearms.
Yeah, correct. Illegal firearms. That's right.
I don't understand this concept.
Okay, see, the thing is, okay, Mike. Criminals, they tend not to pay attention to laws.
Agree to disagree.
No, literally, that's what makes you a criminal.
No.
Every
Being a Trump supporter makes you a criminal, bigot. And scene. And that's how we won the 2020 election.
That's what we did.
As normal people across the country heard conversations like that and went,
Sitting at an IHOP and you hear 2 people saying that in the back.
I have to vote for this orange guy, won't I?
Yeah,
I'm going to
that's
have to
just-
vote for that.
These guys.
Also, you're going to run a Jew against Trump, and that's
Yeah.
never going to happen.
No
Sorry.
way.
We're never. Here's the thing. I explained this on Nightwave the other night. Jews like to control everything, but not right out in front of you like that. They don't like.
Correct.
One thing I'll give to the Jews: they hate the spotlight. They're always producers and directors.
Right.
You notice that? So don't worry. Trump's done more than enough to secure his 8 years. I'll tell you what. We're going to donate $50 billion to build an arcology in Jerusalem.
It looks like Jussie Smollett will be indicted. I mean, that's what it's looking like. And,
Maybe.
Huh?
I don't know.
It's what it looks like.
Yeah, but then they got to think about riots.
Why would people riot? The Chicago people seem to be calm. No? See, now I'm doing your character.
He's going to be called a political prisoner.
He is. No, you're right.
Like,
he
keep in mind, Black Lives Matters, and even before Black Lives Matter, far left activists will always back. Like, these people back literal cop murderers and call them political prisoners. You really think they're going to let us fucking perp walk Jussie Smollett?
I
I hope they do, but hey, if you live in Chicago, get ready to file a lot of insurance claims.
Wait a second. Listen, I don't know if you remember this other very, very huge and publicized fake crime. Have you heard of Tawana Brawley? So, see, Tawana Brawley, right? So they found she accused a bunch of men of raping her, putting feces on her, and saying racial slurs and doing all that. Turns out she was lying.
Imagine my shock.
And as we know, Al Sharpton was completely destroyed because he's the one that
Built it up.
built it up. He called them racist. He said that there was modern day lynching, and now he's nowhere to be found. You don't see him anywhere. So that's what's going to happen with Smollett. Is he still around? Does he still do things?
Who, Sharpton?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what? Like what does he do? He doesn't have an MSNBC show or
He had
whatever.
an MSNBC show. He's still literally the go-to guy if anything black happens.
Oh man, Smollett's gonna get an MSNBC show.
Probably.
Fuck!
They'll probably be holding up signs of him in Chicago during the riots.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
I'm telling you, blacks stick together. We're not like whites are not tribal. We're just not tribalistic.
Well, we're also not allowed to stick
Terrible.
together.
You're not allowed to. Well, you're Hispanic. You are allowed.
Sorry, I mean, I
You
white
are.
people
Your
are not allowed.
family is allowed to display all the pride you want. But we're not. Like, you know what I mean? And luckily, thank God, Latinos are kind of like whites in that they don't hate. They don't like other Latinos.
No, we don't.
Like you'll never.
We really don't.
You'll never see a Cuban go fight the cops to stand up for a Puerto Rican.
No, no. You'll see a Cuban help the cops beat up a Puerto Rican.
You'll see a Cuban help the cop snitch on another Cuban.
in a
He's
heartbeat.
breaking the law, man. What you gonna do? I have to pay car insurance. Why he don't have to pay car insurance? All right, we'll arrest
All
him.
right, sorry.
What's fair is fair.
It's my daughter's quinceañera.
Seriously. But
Okay?
yeah, blacks will fucking forget it, man. They'll watch. They will. They'll arrest him, and there will be riots in Chicago. That's another Mersh prediction.